part of that cell. That looked a lot more ominous than what we're seeing out here. So again, we are southwest of Baldwin.
Yeah, well, he is southwest of Baldwin City, right here. So essentially, this is where the Mobile Weather Center is. That's where the tornado is. So again, Brett, and I'm not sure if you can hear me, but if you go almost due north, but don't go very far, maybe 2 or 3 miles, then position yourself right there as this storm flies by. You should be able to get a visual on that vortex. And again, we're going to be showing you continuous. And then once we have a picture of that tornado, we're going to just go live with that. Brett Anthony is all over that storm right now. Chopper 5, do we have a location on the chopper at this hour? I had him tracked on my phone, but I don't have my phone with me. He's a little bit southeast of Lawrence, so right here. Okay, so Chopper, if you could relay this message to our pilot, Greg, he'll need to go south before he starts curving back to the west. Of course, Greg is an experienced chopper pilot, will naturally be doing that anyway. But again, he is really close to the notched-in area here of this storm, but he does need to follow the outside edge of this, not getting too close because he is in a chopper, and any outflow winds can buffet around that chopper pretty well. But again, an experienced pilot would know that. Let's go ahead and lose the track on this, Aaron. We'll get another fix of this. We should be getting it into an area where we can just about get down to street level here and start mapping some of those streets. We do have Baldwin City mapped out and also parts of Lawrence too, so we can take you right down to those levels. And we'll start to tell you some of the cross streets that will be impacted by this. You can see right in here that some of the towns in the path here are going to be Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow Park is that park that's all the way south towards about 32nd Street, just south of Lawrence. Storm relative velocity, I'll expand that out a little bit more. That's right there is where that is. Right here. Okay. So that is going to track just to the south of Broken Arrow Park. That'll be Sibleyville is right in here. That's just a tiny little dot on the map. But Sibleyville, Vinland, if these sound familiar to you, whether they're subdivisions or just a small little town or maybe an unincorporated, oh, look at that.
Yeah. Emergency managers now reporting that there is a tornado on the ground over Lone Star Lake. So that is right where you see your finger right now. Again, emergency managers over areas of Lone Star Lake now saying that there is a tornado on the ground. They can see visuals of it as this will be moving its way into areas. If you're at Broken Arrow Park, Sibleyville, extending through areas past that through Eudora. Now tornado warnings in effect for your area as well. And I'm continuing to monitor minute by minute. We're getting more and more updates as this new tornado warning has now just been issued. So let me click on this one just to get the very latest that's coming in here. Tornado warning continuing for areas of Douglas County. They've extended it, Gary, now until 7 p.m. And it's right where you can see that tight circulation. So again, you can see the flashing here. Actually, this is the other radar that you can see behind me. But yes, extending for the entire portion of Douglas County now all the way to the county line between Douglas and Johnson County, Kansas. We have now confirmed from emergency managers that there is a tornado on the ground just south of Lone Star Lake as we're continuing to monitor this. I'm going to get a new sweep and we're going to use the scope, which helps us to look inside the thunderstorm to see where we have the strongest potential rotation. I'm going to zoom that in here for you, Gary, and toss it back over to you.
Okay, that's great, Aaron. Thank you so much for doing that. Again, we had that beautiful tight rotation. You can see the polygons changing shape. This is the tornado right there. That is it. Again, just on the south edge of Lone Star Lake, and Lone Star was right directly in the path, as we've been telling you all along. So again, that is the most dangerous part of that storm. It's also going to be passing by maybe about 2 miles south of Broken Arrow Park. It's been a long stand. Oh, look at the gate-to-gate shear here
and
now.
Debris now being reported on the east side of Lone Star, Gary. So again, not only tornado on the ground, but now seeing reports of debris, which means this tornado is destructive destructive as it's on the ground over areas of Douglas County, Kansas.
Well, obviously going to be ripping up trees and anything else that may be in its way, but the gate-to-gate shear now is up to 55 meters per second. That is more than half a football field in 1 second, if you can imagine that kind of wind speed, and that's what's going on within that tight circulation there. Getting a beautiful shot of that from the radar screen. Let's go ahead and lose this box right here so we can put a track on this storm as it moves through the Lawrence vicinity. Getting close to the south end of Lawrence. Super tight rotation. This is just absolutely incredible here. So again, this one is very, very easy to track. Aaron is right on the button here as this storm is moving basically off to the east-northeast. And you have about a 32 mile an hour, 33 mile an hour track on that. I think that's about the right speed. Actually, if it holds together long enough, it would be in Lenexa at a little bit after about 7 o'clock. So now we're starting to talk about some of the metro towns. But Sibleyville, it's pretty much on your doorstep right now. It only has to cover about 3 or 4 more miles before it's in Sibleyville, but you are directly in the path of this right now as it moves out of the Lone Star area and into Sibleyville. You don't have much time there, so hit the shelter right away. Eudora at about 6:34, but before it gets to the 6:34, we've got about 10 minutes, and it's on the south side of Lawrence, just south of Broken Arrow Park is where it looks like it's going to go. Let's check the city cam. This is from Lawrence, so you're looking at that storm from the Orient Hotel, looking back to the south. You can see the heavy rain shaft that's there as well. Obviously, you're not likely going to be seeing the actual tornado itself. The tornado itself, can you put me in front of this picture? Is that a possibility? I'm not sure if it is. But if you could, I could show you where this tornado is going to be from this vantage point. It's basically just going to be to the west of Fraser Hall. Fraser Hall is the one with the 2 iconic flagpoles that sit atop the building. But again, you were looking from the vantage point from Lawrence, almost south-southwesterly into this area here, but you have to look through a lot of rain before you find it. But let's zoom down a little bit closer to this, see if we can find a couple of landmarks here, and we'll basically walk you out of the way. You can see Eudora is right up the line here. Sibleyville, you're right in line, and areas about 4 to 5 miles south of Lawrence. Again, there's a lot of population here just south of Lawrence. As we start to get up towards Broken Arrow Park, just to the south, this is probably no more than a mile south of Broken Arrow Park, passing over areas just to the west of that and to the north, you find that strip of Iowa Street that is starting to become very well built up. As this storm continues to move to the east, it'll pass by just to the south of Broken Arrow Park. Sibleyville is directly in line for this storm, and then the next up the line is going to be Hesper, Kansas. All right, this is a look now at the rain shaft area. Look at the rains coming down. This is outflow wind too. Oh my gosh. Strong winds here. These are at least 60 mile an hour winds, and you can see how the rain is coming straight down here. But look what happens when it hits the ground. It starts to put out a little foot. This little foot that comes out here is the strong wind on the leading edge of this, and this is what potentially could be doing tree damage and other structural damage as well. So it's not just the tornado, but the leading edge winds of this. It's just incredible video to see here. These winds can be very, very destructive, so this is what that whoosh of wind is going to be. Look at how far it is out ahead of that rain area. So these winds are incredibly strong as they're moving through areas just to the south of Lawrence as well. Aaron, what do you have? What are you hearing?
Gary, we are getting reports from crews on the ground that we potentially have a giant tornado, meaning it is taking up a lot of real estate on the ground visually now. Right where you see the bright blue and the bright red, that's where we have very strong circulation. We've seen debris reports on the ground, meaning this is destructive. And something else to note, note that we've been talking about with the potential of these tornadoes, these will likely not be EF0, EF1 tornadoes. These could be very violent and long-lasting tornadoes as they are moving their way through areas of Douglas County. And this is new, Gary. This is very important. I know we're going to go to Brett here, but as of 6/16, tornado warning for areas extending through, continuing through Douglas County. The National Weather Service now saying this could potentially be a catastrophic event for areas of Douglas County. And when the last time we used that wording over areas of Jefferson City with that tornado that we saw last week. And again, this is a very serious situation, potentially catastrophic, as we've seen the reports on the ground of a large and destructive tornado right now over areas of Pleasant Grove, Kansas, moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. We want to get to our crews in the field as we're monitoring the storm here from the Weather Center and with our mobile weather center as well in the field with Brett Anthony. Brett, where are you and exactly what's your position in relation to where this tornado is on the ground?
Okay, Aaron, so we're eastbound Highway 56. It's still heading toward Baldwin City. We're trying to get back to Highway 59 to head toward Lawrence. That seems to be right where that strong rotation is. I just got a warning on my phone that said this was a tornado emergency. So that's a dire situation for sure that has developed here. And as you guys have been talking about that intense rotation, I'm trying to give you a long, well, we were far away, but trying to give you a view of perhaps probably where the lowering is involved in this storm right now. But again, we're pretty far away. It's at least there's some visual confirmation now. It's been rain wrapped for a long time, but as soon as we can get to Highway 59, we're going to be able to zip up north and get closer, and also get some eyes on this. Looks like it's just crossed over Highway 51 right now.
I think you're on it, Brett.
So
I think you're on it. It's crossing Highway.
We're at it. So
yeah. Highway Patrol says it's crossing Highway 59 right now as a very large tornado right over your barn there, right back there. Your camera is on this thing. You just need to get to 59 and go north, and you'll be seeing this thing. And expect to see a lot of damage.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to try to get there as fast as possible and get up on this.
That's it. It's going to be This is going to be a very dramatic event. So if we can go ahead and put a little bit of Doppler radar up here too, I just want to make sure that we clear as many people as we can out of the way of this storm. Yeah, it does. Yeah, they just extended that tornado warning out. Obviously, that's going to be the case.
Leavenworth, Johnson County, Kansas, Leavenworth County, Kansas, until 6:45. That is the new tornado warning that just came in ahead of this storm. We know this tornado is on the ground and destructive at this point.
Okay.
I'm going to pull up the latest warning that just came in. There's so many warnings here, Gary, so I'm going to pull this off. Again, tornado warning for Johnson and Leavenworth, Kansas, until 6:45 as this storm is moving northeast at 35 miles an hour.
Okay, Aaron, let's zoom in a little bit here.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and lose this storm relative velocity scope. Move in right into this area here in the south side of Lawrence. A little bit tighter. That's Broken Arrow Park right there. Now, if we can put the scope on top of this, we'll take a look at this. And I think Chopper is going to be in a very close relation to this. Okay, Chopper is ready to go. This is the large tornado right here. Just a little bit. Oh, this is it. Well, let's go take Chopper. Chopper's right over this right now.
Take it right
so
now.
You can see it. That's
Chopper
it.
5.
That's the rain shaft area. Chopper 5 just to the south of Lawrence, but just adjacent to the rain shaft is where this large tornado is located. And maybe embedded within the rain. Do you see that, Aaron?
Yes, I do. And actually, I'm just posting this now for the National Weather Service to watch our coverage as well of the tornado. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I thought I saw it. Yeah, do you see a cone inside of that rain? If that's the case, that would be it. It would be
there. It's right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's see it.
Yeah, it's within. It's
right
embedded
there,
within the rain, and that is large. That is at least 100 to 200 yards wide. if that indeed is the, and I believe that is.
I believe so too, given that we knew we would have very large and potentially destructive tornadoes. And again, we cannot emphasize this enough right now. If you are hearing the sirens, you need to be in the lowest level of your home, away from those exterior walls and windows. This has been labeled as a potentially catastrophic event as this storm is now moving into more populated areas.
Okay, what you could do? Well, there's another.
Those are power flashes, I believe, Gary, that we're seeing. Either that or lightning.
Well, thankfully, at least from this vantage point, it doesn't look to be a very heavily populated area. But again, it's just to the south of Lawrence right now, passing by just to the south of Broken Arrow Park, which is on the south side of Lawrence. That's getting down to about 35th Street. You may be a little bit farther south than that.
Lawrence.
Yeah, that's all air that's flowing into the storm. These are inbound winds from the top of the Orient Hotel. That's what you're looking at from that CityCam picture there. This is a violent storm from all directions. We have strong inflow. We have incredibly strong outflowing winds coming out of that rain shaft area. And of course, where everything kind of meets, we have a destructive and large tornado that does appear to be rain wrapped on the south side of Lawrence, Kansas right now. Very, very close to Lawrence is where the chopper is located at this hour. And you can see right here at this hour, it looks like it's completely dark outside, even though we still have a little bit more than an hour of daylight left to go, a little bit more than an hour. And it's that dark. This is just an incredible storm that's moving by just to the south side of Lawrence. Highway Patrol said that they saw the tornado as it crossed 59 Highway south of Lawrence as a large tornado crossing the highway. And we have been watching the rotation on this storm as it's been picking up speed, and it's been picking up in intensity as well. Ellen, what do you have?
So Lawrence police, let me just read that. They're saying that there are overturned vehicles. A number of reports are coming in. So Lawrence police just tweeted this out. Deputies following the storm are having trouble seeing the tornado because of the heavy rain. Reports of damage and overturned vehicles are coming in rapidly right now to dispatch. So I'm assuming that dispatch is just getting lit up right now with calls of damage and problems.
Well, this is just incredible because it's almost impossible to see this tornado, but it's inside of that curtain of rain that you're looking at. If you look at, there it is. Oh, you can see it from time to time. You can see that large wedge inside of the rain. This is such a dangerous event. You can't see this. It's so completely camouflaged. Now it looks like there are some, oh, there was a flash there too. I think you're right, Aaron.
Yeah, they're power flashes.
Yeah, I think that those are power lines that are snapping.
And just given that this is potentially a catastrophic event, I think, there we go. I think we need to get the storm track, because as this tornado is continuing to move its way off towards the north and the east, more and more cities will be impacted from the storm. I'm going to move this box here so that you can see the very latest cities that are in the path of this dangerous tornado that is on the ground. And when we see those flashes that you are seeing right now, again, what you see here on the big box on the left-hand side of your screen, that is News Chopper 5, as we are monitoring this rain-wrapped tornado. But at times, it looks like a lightning flash, but I think what we are seeing, power surges, as we may be losing power as these storms are continuing to move through areas of Douglas County. And again, very tight circulation with this rain-wrapped tornado. We have had reports from emergency managers and from storm spotters on the ground that this is a potential large, destructive tornado on the ground. So it's hard to tell exactly where it may begin and where it may end, Gary, because it may be so large that it's hard to have that scope. It's just a very scary situation for areas now extending. So again, the latest track through Eudora about 6:38, DeSoto about 6:55, moving through Edwardsville that holds together about 7:15. The latest information coming in from emergency managers. Again, now emergency managers over areas of Leavenworth saying circulation southwestern portions of their county. We could potentially have rotation a mile wide a mile wide, potentially, with this storm that is moving through areas of Douglas, and now this will be pushing its way into the western side of the immediate metropolitan area. What you see there now, that is a live look from our city camera network over areas of the KU campus here from the Oriat Hotel. Whoa. Yep, that's lightning.
Eudora is not in a safe place right now.
No.
If you live in Eudora, you need to be below ground. If you don't have an area below ground, you need to be finding an interior room at the very least. This is a very powerful tornado. If it's a mile wide, now we're getting up into the F4, F5 category type storms. This is one that is basically historic in nature then. Just missed the city of Lawrence to the south, passing by just to the south.
Tonight on both sides of the state line, and from the Storm Track 5 Weather Center, where Gary is watching for any sign of rotation on the radar. More from him and meteorologist Aaron Little in a moment. But first, a first glimpse of this storm as it heads towards Lawrence. This is a live look from atop the Oriat Hotel. Brett Anthony is on the ground in the Mobile Weather Center. Brett, you've been busy storm tracking. Where are you right now?
Hi, Brad. Good evening, everyone. We are just north of Linden, Kansas. So the storm is a few miles off to our southwest. It looks to be moving between Osage and Linden. So we're going to be very close to this storm here in just a few minutes, and we should be able to look out to our west-southwest and get a better picture of it. Looks like the circulation has broadened out just a little bit. That's pretty good. It is raining heavily out ahead of it. I'm hoping that this is not a rain-wrapped circulation so we can get a better picture. From what I've seen in our NWS chat room,
and the reason I'm showing you that, it's clear to see on the upper right, but when you look at it on the upper left, which is the rain, this indicates this is a rain-wrapped tornado. That circulation is in the middle of that heavy rain. Brian has been telling you that, and Nick assumed that, and he could tell it was going to be rain-wrapped. But this is how we know it for sure. When we line them up side by side, you can see how that rotation is inside the heavy wind. That's when Doppler radar becomes the most important tool we have, because it can look through the rain and find that rotation and give you that early warning. So right now, I want to give you that early warning, and I'm going to let you know that the intensity of the wind apparently has picked up. Now, I don't know that it necessarily means a tornado has strength, and sometimes we can get just a very strong down.
From you. Again, first and foremost, we want you to be safe. But as the storm passes, as you are out of that area of the significant risk, send us those videos. Send us a direct message, either to myself, Aaron at KCTV5 on my Facebook page, our main page at KCTV5. And again, I know this may be very scary for folks, especially for areas of Douglas and Franklin County, because we don't have any visuals. We have plenty of crews all surrounding this storm on the ground. We can see the potential of those winds turning in different directions in the atmosphere on live power Doppler, but we don't have any visuals of this tornado because it's potentially rain wrapped. So all around this thunderstorm complex where we have the potential of a tornado, we have rain surrounding it. So it just gives us more concern that without those visuals, we really have to kind of wait until some of this rain wrap begins to clear, or until we begin to get some of those damage reports once the storm moves through areas within our viewing area. Again, tornado warning in effect for areas of Douglas and Franklin County. So the strongest rotation, this is coming in from the National Weather Service, and that's why I'm kind of peering down here because I can see minute by minute this new information coming in. They are saying the strongest rotation 3 miles to the northwest of Globe and continuing to the areas of Lone Star. So if you live over areas of Lone Star and Globe, you should be in your safe shelter right now. You should be in the lowest level of your home as these sirens are going off, and we're continuing to monitor the latest with this storm. Now, Brett Anthony has been tracking this cell specifically for over an hour, and earlier this evening, Brett, you had such significant winds, and obviously you're still in the rain wrap part of the storm as well. What is your location, and what are your latest updates from the Mobile Weather Center?
All right, so we are headed eastbound still, and we have moved into Douglas County. We should be on the eastern side of the circulation, but again, very difficult to tell. We haven't had a tremendous amount of wind as we've moved into the circulation, at least on the northeast side of this circulation. I'm looking for some winds picking up a little bit here. It's been the rain, and it's been a tremendous amount of rain. I want to show you something. Earlier we were east of Linden, and the winds picked up significantly. And remember, we were stationary or almost stationary. And watch this wind gust that was measured here on the Mobile Weather Center. Now, I'm not sure. 109 miles an hour. If it was, we were in probably a small tornado and just didn't realize it. But it was, the winds right now are coming out of the west, and they're only at 30 miles an hour. But earlier, that's the wind that we clocked, a wind gust that we clocked on the Mobile Weather Center. All right, so we're coming to the eastern part of this circulation. So what I want to try to do now is turn us around. We're going to try to go south. We've got to get into the south side of the storm, but this has been a challenging storm to chase because of the lack of visibility and because of its movement, because of some of the roads that we have to navigate to try to get to a good position on this. But I can tell you right now, the heavy rain in that circulation continues. If there's a tornado on the ground, it'll be rain wrapped. Here's a junction. We're going to turn and go south, and now we're going to be able to get some eyeballs looking back to the northeast on this. So that'll be real good for us here in just a little bit, so we can tell you and give you a better indication of what's heading up toward the Lawrence area at this time. All right, so I'm going to send it back into the studio live at the Mobile Weather Center. KCTV5 meteorologist Brett Anthony, back to Ellen in the studio. Ellen?
All right, Brett, thank you. You just mentioned the Lawrence area, and Lawrence police have just tweeted out that the sirens have continued to go off here in the area. In fact, they put up a video here showing the sirens, or you could hear the sirens going off and showing what was going on in Lawrence. If you guys can take me full, I'll be able to show you some better pictures that we've been able to see on social media as well. Some great videos also coming in here. So this is near Dodge City, and we were looking here, it certainly is rain wrapped, the video that you can see here of this storm, of this potential tornado hitting down near Dodge City. Then we also have one other video here from Paradise, Kansas, just north of Hayes, also showing some movement there, some clouds coming down, a tornado hitting in a very rural area. These pictures are just incredible. We want to go back now to the other place that I was telling you about, just near Luray, Kansas. So this video, this photo right here can kind of show you what's going on from the sky. So as we are getting these photos in, just incredible images, incredible video, and we want to remind you to be very safe if you do step outside. Priority is your safety number one. And Gary, you're going to pick up some of our coverage now.
All right, well, let's talk about Douglas County, because right here is where that tornado is located. Again, it's in a very sparsely or fairly sparsely populated area at the moment, but that is moving to the northeast, and it's going to be hitting in areas just in between Baldwin City and Lawrence. This is Warden, Kansas, as you heard before. This is all just to the northwest of Warden. That's where the tightest circulation is located right here. Very easily to determine where this tornado is located, right in in there exactly at this point. So that is just northwest of Globe. Globe, you're within about a mile to a mile and a half of where this tornado is located, and that is moving off to the northeast now. So that will be moving into areas very, very close to the Lawrence vicinity as well. So again, what we can expect out of this is heavy rain to be falling, very tight rotation within that thunderstorm cell itself, but it appears as though some of that strongest rotation will be in areas that are easily within some of the heavier falling rain. So let's go ahead and lose that storm relative velocity scope, Aaron, and then broaden this picture back out again to show you the tornado warning in its entirety, the polygon itself. And you can see what the National Weather Service does here as well, as a brand new polygon is being drawn here to kind of tighten this up. So Franklin County no longer within the threat area of this particular storm and cell. However, portions of Douglas County now are. Brand new polygon, as I was saying before, staying just to the north of Baldwin City. But on the north end of this polygon, that's actually been extended, and it appears as though all of the west portion of Lawrence, so we have from Lone Star all the way up towards the western areas of Lawrence. Albemarle Country Club would be involved on this as well. Chopper 5 is near Eudora right now, and then heading off to see this storm, basically to intercept this storm. This is Chopper 5 showing you this broad area of rain. This is the Eudora vicinity, but the storms are closing in on Eudora as well. You saw the track, and if it does hold together, and I don't see any reason why at least the rotating part of this storm wouldn't hold together long enough to reach Eudora, you will be involved in this as well. Tornado siren's not going off here. You still have some time, but if I were you living in Eudora, I would make your calls right now to make sure that your family members are all together so you can hit the safe place once this storm and cell gets a little bit closer to that. Also in this bottom box that you're looking at right down here, that's Storm Track 5 Mobile Weather Center, so we're going to give you continued live pictures there. This is Chopper 5 to give you live pictures there, basically near Eudora, or right in this vicinity here. That's where Chopper 5 is located. There's the notch of the storm right in this vicinity where my hand is going, and then the most dangerous portion of that storm is right there, just where the rain really begins to kick in. So let me go ahead.
Just to help you, right where that storm is, the National Weather Service saying the same thing that we're seeing on the radar. Very tight rotation, Lone Star. Areas over Lone Star, Kansas. That strong rotation now 2 miles south-southwest of your city, so you should be in your safe shelter right now. The circulation is rain-wrapped, very difficult to see, but again, Lone Star, Kansas. It's hard because these are more rural cities right now for the areas of Douglas County.
There is a lake, though, down at Lone Star, and it's a heavily visited lake, especially people in Lawrence that kind of want to get away, don't want to go to Clinton Lake, will head down to Lone Star Lake for maybe a little more peace and quiet, but it's anything but peace and quiet, as Aaron was just telling you. So Lone Star area, as you just heard, in a direct path of this, if anybody is familiar with the Lawrence area, Lone Star is to the south of Lawrence, but it does appear as though Lawrence is going to be in line, at least areas south of Lawrence, to pick up a substantial wind out of this. Very, very easy to see. This is really starting to tighten up now. So again, between Baldwin City and Lawrence, in the southwest portion of Douglas County is where this tornado is located right now. I'm going to step out of the picture. Can we take Brett's full? Brett's got a really interesting picture here that I want to see. Brett, are you on the line? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I really do like your picture. Where are you located right now? And tell me what you're seeing from your vantage point inside the windshield.
Okay, so we're right on right at the eastern edge of that whole circulation, and I turned south, or Greg turned south, because we were trying to get back to the southeast of what we thought was our circulation. Right now, in fact, here's our exact location. We're at Woodson Road and Delaware Road in Douglas County, so that'd be west of Baldwin City. And if I pan this back around here, we were trying to come back and we thought we were going to get back into the lower ring back here, but I had that camera turned to the other direction, and I think it might be back in that, back to the northeast of us right now. So my radar data might be a little bit old just based on some of the cell signals. So we're going to turn around, and we need to go back the other way, Greg, and try to get back on that other part of that cell. That looked a lot more ominous than what we're seeing out here. So again, we are southwest of Baldwin.
Yeah, well, he is southwest of Baldwin City, right here. So essentially, this is where the Mobile Weather Center is. That's where the tornado is. So again, Brett, and I'm not sure if you can hear me, but if you go almost due north, but don't go very far, maybe 2 or 3 miles, then position yourself right there as this storm flies by. You should be able to get a visual on that vortex. And again, we're going to be showing you continuous. And then once we have a picture of that tornado, we're going to just go live with that. Brett Anthony is all over that storm right now. Chopper 5, do we have a location on the chopper at this hour? I had him tracked on my phone, but I don't have my phone with me. He's a little bit southeast of Lawrence, so right here. Okay, so Chopper, if you could relay this message to our pilot, Greg, he'll need to go south before he starts curving back to the west. Of course, Greg is an experienced chopper pilot, will naturally be doing that anyway. But again, he is really close to the notched-in area here of this storm, but he does need to follow the outside edge of this, not getting too close because he is in a chopper, and any outflow winds can buffet around that chopper pretty well. But again, an experienced pilot would know that. Let's go ahead and lose the track on this, Aaron. We'll get another fix of this. We should be getting it into an area where we can just about get down to street level here and start mapping some of those streets. We do have Baldwin City mapped out and also parts of Lawrence too, so we can take you right down to those levels. We'll start to tell you some of the cross streets that will be impacted by this. You can see right in here that some of the towns in the path here are going to be Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow Park is that park that's all the way south towards about 32nd Street, just south of Lawrence. Storm relative velocity, I'll expand that out a little bit more. That's right there is where that is. Right here.
Right there.
So that is going to track just to the south of Broken Arrow Park. That'll be Sibleyville is right in here. That's just a tiny little dot on the map. But Sibleyville, Vinland, if these sound familiar to you, whether they're subdivisions or just a small little town or maybe an unincorporated, oh, look at that. Yeah.
Emergency managers now reporting that there is a tornado on the ground over Lone Star Lake. So that is right where you see your finger right now. Again, emergency managers over areas of Lone Star Lake now saying that there is a tornado on the ground. They can see visuals of it as this will be moving its way into areas. If you're at Broken Arrow Park, Sibleyville, extending through areas past that through Eudora. Now tornado warnings in effect for your area as well. And I'm continuing to monitor minute by minute. We're getting more and more updates as this new tornado warning has now just been issued. So let me click on this one just to get the very latest that's coming in here. Tornado warning continuing for areas of Douglas County. They've extended it, Gary, now until 7 p.m. And it's right where you can see that tight circulation. So again, you can see the flashing here. Actually, this is the other radar that you can see behind me. But yes, extending for the entire portion of Douglas County now all the way to the county line between Douglas and Johnson County, Kansas. We have now confirmed from emergency managers that there is a tornado on the ground just south of Lone Star Lake as we're continuing to monitor this. I'm going to get a new sweep and we're going to use the scope, which helps us to look inside the thunderstorm to see where we have the strongest potential rotation. I'm going to zoom that in here for you, Gary, and toss it back over to you.
Okay, that's great, Aaron. Thank you so much for doing that. Again, we had that beautiful tight rotation. You can see the polygons changing shape. This is the tornado right there. That is it. Again, just on the south edge of Lone Star Lake, and Lone Star was right directly in the path, as we've been telling you all along. So again, that is the most dangerous part of that storm. It's also going to be passing by maybe about 2 miles south of Broken Arrow Park. It's been a long stand. Oh, look at the gate-to-gate shear here
and
now.
Debris now being reported on the east side of Lone Star, Gary. So again, not only tornado on the ground, but now seeing reports of debris, which means this tornado tornado is destructive as it's on the ground over areas of Douglas County, Kansas.
Well, obviously going to be ripping up trees and anything else that may be in its way, but the gate-to-gate shear now is up to 55 meters per second. That is more than half a football field in 1 second, if you can imagine that kind of wind speed, and that's what's going on within that tight circulation there. Getting a beautiful shot of that from the radar screen. Let's go ahead and lose this box right here so we can put a track on this storm as it moves through the Lawrence vicinity. Getting close to the south end of Lawrence, super tight rotation. This is just absolutely incredible here. So again, this one is very, very easy to track. Aaron is right on the button here as this storm is moving basically off to the east-northeast. And you have, what, about a 32 mile an hour, 33 mile an hour track on that. I think that's about the right speed. Actually, if it holds together long enough, it would be in Lenexa at a little bit after about 7 o'clock. So now we're starting to talk about some of the metro towns. But Sibleyville, it's pretty much on your doorstep right.
Why is it doing that? They're not live anymore.